you'd be running that Queen of Pain into a Doom, right? And if she gets hit by the Doom, then KXY just is not a hero anymore.
Yeah, the only thing I'm worried about right now is after you see Rubik, after you see Doom, after you see all these heroes, if I'm SG, you kind of just pick Medusa right here, and then you don't care if you get doomed, you don't care if you get lassoed, you don't care about the damage, really, in itself, and you steal away HFN's best hero. I don't know, that seems like the most obvious pick,
Ooh.
but instead, they go for the Queen of Pain counter pick, as we were, kept on talking about, because it feels like as Wolf Team pick up more of their heroes here, they solidify things further and further, and now well, is it going to be a Tavo Doom with a King RD Rubik with now a 5 Marcy? Is it going to be the carry Marcy that been kind of trying to hype up but hasn't really come to fruition just yet? I don't know. It's where Wolf Team, again, they have to make the first call here, and they will try to ban out that Doom's lane now to, I guess, keep them a little bit more flexible. And honestly, if this was a different region, if this was Russia, let's say, I'd say you could just run the Doom mid versus Quap because they still like to run the Doom mid, which is funny to see. And then you do try to move things around in the draft. Probably put the Batrider then as your off lane, but Marcy 4, maybe Rubik 5, and then you're still looking for an HFN hero. But yeah, I don't know. Just having this Queen of Pain not banned out in that second phase, just felt like they ran out of bans, to be honest. And now this Batrider becomes more of a liability pick than anything. But
Hmm.
we'll have to see if they can still make it work here. But now, though, in the final phase here, it is just going to be a matter of whether or not you get that leg up in the carry matchup. And looking at these heroes banned out makes a lot of sense. We'll see if that Medusa ban or pick gets any weight coming into that final phase, or maybe we'll look for something even weirder. One of the heroes I am kind of thinking about right now, though, for SG, kind of have a nasty Slark pick at the end here, and I do like that Wolf Team ban out their own Medusa because Medusa does look pretty fearsome here for SG, but the Slark is kind of the one hero that I'm inching closer and closer if that Batrider, again, is forced into the off lane. Because, hey, you can't put him mid because of Quap. Have to put him safe lane versus, well, a Slark, and then you're pretty sad. I think what could also happen, though, is maybe there's a PL pick that we're looking for towards. It's where now that that Batrider is solidified in a position that is not mid, you can really make an abusive play here with your hero choice. And we'll have to see if HFN ends up being something that can, A, counter out that hero that's going to counter out his Batrider, but also have that core advantage coming into what I guess is going to be your final phase here, as they don't have as much reserve time as SG do.
Yep. Final ban from SG is on the Troll Warlord, so it does narrow the pool down quite nicely. So we'll see what Wolf Team's plan is. Illusion carries were really not touched, so yeah, TB, Naga, PL still in there. There is a little bit of AoE damage on the SG side, so you have some slight concerns, I guess, if you're trying to run with those illusions. But do you think they should go in that direction, ET, look for a hyper carry, or look back towards maybe someone a little bit more battle ready at an earlier window,
Hmm.
kind of like the Bloodseeker?
Yeah, and I like the Bloodseeker, just that he's a little bit more independent. Again, you've got this Primal Beast lane that you kind of have to figure out. Personally, I would have been down to see the Jug come out, just because, again, Spin seemed to be kind of an answer to trample into that hero in general, but I guess the Bloodseeker, still very vulnerable in lane, still could just get stepped on, but maybe with a little bit more movement speed to work with, and right now the Primal Beast is the hero that's just going to get ruptured every single fight, because of course Queen of Pain, the way the blink interaction works, your 50 range above the threshold, so you don't get just gutted by rupture, which is nice for the Quap, but not so nice for the Bloodseeker. But sure, I don't mind it too much. But now if we're SG, what do we pick, an ultra carry to go versus the Bloodseeker? Do we choose something that's just going to ignore him? Again, do we look at a hero like the Slark? Probably not anymore. And I think that's where the Bloodseeker does narrow in on heroes like Weaver and Slark that would make the Batrider's life maybe a little bit more difficult. But that's where, Yuma, what's it going to be?
Still got plenty of options. Don't think we're going to see a return of the Spectre that we saw from him the other day. That feels kind of risky with the lockdown that Wolf Team do have, but okay, never mind. No more speculation. There's the choice, and it is gonna be our old friend. The Faceless Void was missing in action for, I think, 2 whole days, ET. It was either banned out or
Mm-hmm.
not picked, and, well, Yuma says, hey, guys, Faceless Void's in the pool still. We all kind of forgot about it, so they do pick it up here. They've got the snap to go with it, of course, so, well, bringing it back. One of the favorites for a very good reason, and now if your Wolf Team You got to be careful of your positioning at this point because any member of this roster is still going to get heavily punished by the chrono and the kisses.
Yeah, and we'll have to see because again, got changed, got nerfed, especially around time walk. Every aspect of that ability pretty much got nerfed, as well as the level 20 talent not being 120 attack speed anymore. So kind of makes sense. Kind of was a little insane, especially in Chrono. But that's where I think it was kind of just SG saying, well, we've got the Snapfire already. We've run this combo in the past, and we do need a little bit more control. They're pretty light. So yeah, it's a pretty easy pick. I think it makes a lot of sense in context to the other heroes that they picked up. And again, we'll have to see if those nerfs actually have kind of an effect on the game here. But that's also where KXY ends up playing Queen of Pain versus Batrider. So that's another lane we'll have to keep an eye out on. If it is just going to be the shutout that lane can be, or its suits can kind of out mechanic and hope for the best here. But another game where I think Wolf Team simply need to find the initiation first. They need to find the vision that actually allows them to take those team fights. Because, hey, if Tavo gets a Doom on Yuma, boom, team fight blown open. You rupture Oscar, you Doom Yuma, suddenly you're completely defensive on SG and you're on the run and Wolf Team try to push you over. But if SG get any spells off first, that's where you've got quite a few concerns for Wolf Team because they are no save, they are no business, they are we win you and we out execute in the team fight, or we kind of keel over and die.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, one thing I do kind of like at this point with the Doom, something that maybe is part of the reason why he could get more popular again, the self-Doom play makes things like the Lincolns and or Lotuses a little bit less of just a no-brain counterplay, right? If you're the Queen of Pain, you're thinking, oh, I get a Lincolns, and then I'm going to be fine. You might be, but if the Doom dooms himself and then just blinks in on top of you, he still has that lockdown, and you don't have that same sort of counterplay to work with. So, still a situation where you have to be very wary of Tavo.
Yeah, and I think to that same point, so much less committal, and as well with some of the interactions, I think a lot of players just don't know necessarily what it cancels you out of. For instance, if Tavo self dooms himself, will that on the spot cancel an onslaught? Will that stop a trample? You know, it's where
Hmm.
you wonder if the precast things just end up getting trumped by Doom because, well, it's AoE Doom. It's arguably one of the best in the game, and that's not a great way to start off this game.
Not a fan of this as Sooths once again DCs. Oh boy. Well, welcome back to the Kmart and ET podcast, episode 2. Uh,
This is also where maybe a little bit of my sympathy also goes by the wayside because coming in the game too, we could have swapped servers. We could have, changed something.
eh,
I don't think that's something that Yuma would have been down for, but we'll see because of course he's got a slightly different experience as everybody else in the server. But no, this is unfortunate yet again here. And hopefully Suits doesn't have to do any more house hopping to stay connected in this game. But that's where we've got another 20 minutes to kill Kmart. If in worst case scenario, I think really the only thing to talk about at this point is cosmetics. And something that you can say for Yuma is Yuma's the highest rolling Faceless Void I think we've seen. He's got the Arcana, got the $400 mace. Doesn't have the red bracers though, so points off for not necessarily being a witness of the first blood at that TI, but every other aspect, I mean, kind of the king of the Faceless Void we've seen in the tournament so far.
this is seriously a $400 mace. Oh man.
Oh, Kmart. It used to be an $800 mace. That's cheap.
Uh, we're getting
Well,
into
there you
CS:GO
go.
knife prices at that point. That's some crazy stuff. But
Nah, you
also
love.
took all the gems out of his mace. That's a weird one.
Yeah, honestly, that's probably one of those reseller things where maybe Yuma got scammed a little bit, you know?
You spent
I
four
guess.
hundred dollars on a Dota cosmetic. You did get scammed. Let's not.
Well, it's also just, you always got to be careful, especially if you buy anything off the Steam community market, Gotta look over every aspect of the item, because I'm positive, especially for a lot of the, I think TI6, TI7 era Immortals, there are a lot of gems that just don't exist. Admins look Discord.
Oh, what are we doing?
We'll see. Okay, we are gonna remake.
Oh, okay.
Fingers crossed. Okay, we're out of here. G remake. Make sure all the heroes are selected. But okay, I guess we're in and out, and then we'll have to see and hope that wherever we end up, what server, what location, Sooth is going to be able to actually play the game here. Otherwise, again, my sympathy is going by the wayside. The more this continues, just because it wouldn't have just been a better opportunity to try and find maybe another player. Who knows? But fingers crossed here for remake 2 of what has been quite the process to get Sooths on his Batrider.
Yep, it's been an ordeal, so we're gonna be hopping out here real quick, folks. We'll get that remake up as quick as we can. So, yeah, apologies for that, but hopefully we have the real game 2 coming your way in just a little bit. So stick around. We'll be right back.
My keyboard is not
Beautiful.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to BTS Pro Series 12. We are into the game now, the remake, rather, of game number 2, and a little bit of an explanation here. The match was remade because Wolf Team lost Suits again, and they opted, rather than try and wait and see if they can get him back, they actually did just get themselves a replacement player. So, a player whose name is FCR Smurf. I'm going to assume that that actually is FCR, just playing on an alt account, so we'll just probably call him by that name moving forward. But he is taking over Batrider duties here from Sooths, who unfortunately was not going to be able to get back in.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe he'll play Batrider in a pub as, a way to recompense. But in the meantime, got a game. Very similar game to what SG had drafted before. I think maybe a little bit happier with their Queen of Pain up, and we will have to see because, well, FCR, you got to play Batrider, but you have to play Batrider versus Quap, so we'll see how that actually ends up going as a slight battle for the runes, but will just be a plain old 2-2 split.
Oscar cops a little bit of damage there on the rebound attempt, but he should be... Yeah, he should be fine. He doesn't have regen himself, but Prada passed him a tango, and that is actually kind of interesting. He opted for no regen in this lane outside of the stick, so it's ever so slightly risky, ET, but if he finds the last hits to get this bracer sort of boots combo going early, then it's really not going to matter that much.
Yeah, and if you look at the stats between the Queen of Pain and the Batrider, you also realize that it's just so you have that base damage advantage, and then if you let those sticky napalm stacks reset, just like that, then you're going to be A-okay. And we'll have to see, because of course, not getting that Scream of Pain level 1 means that fighting for the range creep is actually a fight that FCR can play for, but again, we'll have to see if that's maybe going to slow down the Quap, or really it's just a very close matchup regardless.
Well, yeah. CFCR trying to play up here. Can't really blame him for that, right before the Shadow Strike spam gets too nasty onto him, so see what he can do there. In the meantime, this is a very funky setup. Tavo is fighting Prada over the camp because the creep wave itself, it was kind of pulled. King RD did make an attempt at it, but now the equilibrium's all over the place because, what, 3 creeps are still hanging out in the jungle. You see Yuma had pulled the ranged all the way back, so I don't know what the hell's going on with these creeps right now. As Prada actually is going to try to pull this away, but he didn't actually get it to meet up. What in the world is going on here?
Yeah, no, this is very peculiar, and if anyone's happy about this, it's Tavo. I think maybe one creep ends up getting pulled underneath the tower, but top lane, where is our Bloodseeker?
What the... That's so far under the tower.
He just went really ham, and also probably got caught off guard by Oscar's skill build here, because instead of just getting the trample level 2, actually got a point up in the onslaught, and I guess with that damage just got caught off guard, and LTH just didn't die fast enough, so didn't get the heal, but already some bewildering things going on.
Well, this is what happens, right? You get an all-pick remake, and people start getting a little wild in the first few minutes, but should settle down into, you know, what we were expecting over the next couple of minutes. But, well, who knows? Because now if you're the Primal Beast, you have no trample, so your aggressive potential in this lane's kind of iffy. I know saying that's weird because he just picked up a kill, but that kill came because HFN is, 25 feet behind his opponent's tower. Without that kind of misplay, it may not be possible. However, if Oscar's just allowed to farm under tower like this, then who cares? He's going to get those levels anyway. The trample's probably now just going to get skilled up and maxed out the way it normally would be, and you're still going to have to be careful.
No, definitely have to be cautious. Don't want to give away too many early kills, but that's where also maybe you're not as strong at level 1, but okay, there's the trample. Level 1 trample. And actually, it got the onslaught off, but it's really far.
Huh. Thought the silence was going to get timed up to cancel that, but yeah, it wasn't. But it's not enough damage. KJ doing a little dancing. He's going to be... Well, he's not going to be fine anymore. Now he's in some trouble. There's going to be the cookie stun. Oscar has to track around the trees, but he should be able to close the gap. One more hit. And it's LTH who picks it up. 2 kills to open things for SG.
Yeah, no, very interesting. I guess that's just the interaction, where if you do get silenced, you're just a one-way trip at that point, because he definitely got hit by the Bloods, right? It just didn't cancel it. It just made him lose control of it, which is even more peculiar. Maybe that's worse in later game situations, but does actually end up killing the Rubik.
And that opens up that question we were asking a little bit earlier on before the remake ET with how does the AoE Doom maybe interact with the Onslaught as well. Because it's not quite the same compared to a baseline silence, but I don't know. If you're Oscar, it's a question you'd like to have the answer to before you're stuck in the middle of a fight rather than during.
Yeah, and we will have to see how that Doom actually plays out, but still just a pretty high level of weirdness in the lanes. That bottom lane has still been just creep cut, creep pull, creep meet over and over and over again, and Yuma is pretty fabulously farmed, but that's also where Tavo has just not really been pressured, and now that he's got double bracer, he can't really get pressured really anymore. Also found the good creep. He's got mana burn,
Yeah.
a newly nerfed mana burn, so maybe not as difficult to deal with, but mana aura is still very nice.
Gives you just that little bit of extra spam ability in the lane, which going up against a Faceless Void is kind of important, and well, as you say, this is a very strong farming game for Yuma. He's just shy of 30 last hits already. Nearly double-digit denies as well, so he's really been working. At the same time, speaking of heroes doing work, this has turned into exactly what we expected, right? KXY is running away with this lane, and the Bat really doesn't want to be there for all that long. As FCR actually getting into a bit of a fight with the Snapfire here. He's got to be careful because the Snap has a cookie. He could turn around. They're going to drop the stun. But here come the supports on the Wolf team side as well. So KXY, yeah, all of a sudden you're by yourself. He doesn't have Blink for another 1 second, so he will fall. And Oscar, well, he's going to jump into the fight as well. Onslaught's in. Trample is there, so they will get a kill in exchange onto the Bat. But I don't know. This whole game, 6 minutes in, and you could define everything ET by just heroes being places where you're not supposed to be this early in the game.
Yeah, and right there, got to see kind of in effect. That's Quap's rule. You blink in, odds are you probably die, and you always have to be very cautious of that play. And just KXY getting a little bit too aggressive and thinking that I think he's got a little bit more of a lead. And of course, he does have a lead. He has a lot more lasses than FCR does, and he has a lot more denies, but very careful. And
the skill build now. 3-3, no points in Sonic, so he's not making any rotations anytime soon.
Yeah, no, it is very different. I feel like Quap is a hero that is always getting more and more pressured into having just infinite skill points, it feels like, but this is kind of in neither direction. This is a very different skill build.
Same time down bot, some low health heroes on the SG side, but neither King RD nor Tavo really have the strength to just go straight under the tower, and with some bashes coming through, Yuma thought about it, just for a little bit, but fighting into Scorched Earth, still probably not a great idea. He does back it off, but there's going to be the rebound. It actually misses, though. They don't get the stun. The dispose is still going to be there. Time walk. Gets him into the tree line, and even without his support in lane ET, Yuma's able to dance his way to safety. Salve gets delivered really right on time, and Wolf team had a narrow window. They gave it a shot. Not able to find the kill.
Yeah, and it's been pretty close and pretty scary, especially because whenever those dives have been happening, you've got that thirst vision underneath the tower. So if you're not too careful, you can get taken out pretty darn easy, but I think now with King RD rotating over towards the mid lane just to get XP in the dead lane effectively, because it is now unlaneable for the Batrider. There are 4 points up in the Shadow Strike. It's even, I want to say, a little unlaneable for King RD, but someone's got to get the levels here, and it will mean that this Marcy is going to be pretty high up in terms of that early mid game, but we'll have to see how that actually ends up playing out, because Batrider is still not fun times. He's getting pretty close to his boots of travel. He's done a good job of jungling, and there hasn't been too much pressure coming out from SG either. LTH has been trying, but not really successfully finding or blocking too many camps. But again, we'll have to see, because KXY is in a free lane. There is no opponent.
Mm-hmm. Just the absolute dream scenario for the Queen of Pain. Going for a Midas. Okay. Yeah, that's... Didn't really register that in my brain until just now, but he's gonna try and rotate into the bottom lane. This is a maxed out Shadow Strike, so while you don't have the same instant burst that you would with Scream and Sonic, that much DOT and that much slow too. I mean, you saw Tavo, he moves all of 5 feet away from where he was at the start of that engagement.
Yeah, and that is the benefit of this build. It does really a pretty great amount of damage. It's just not a bad skill in general. Hope he doesn't get a 4th point in Blink. I feel like we are getting to the point where you're just not farming, really. You are just so in it with laning that you're not pushing out waves, which can sometimes become a problem for your mid laner, because really, the only reason I think it's working out is because there's no wave click hero on Wolf team. Like, let's say the Rubik takes over mid, he can just nuke out the wave with Fade Bolt and then show up somewhere else. KXY has to A-click every single creep, every single time. And it's working out for him, but eventually I feel like it's going to be too much. But there's a huge fight bottom.
Yep.
Rupture's online, but so is Chrono, and Wolf, they're going to go first.
Make the jump. There's the trample. Tavo in trouble. Needs some help. Doesn't get it. Pulverize comes in to lock him down. There's the Chrono dropped onto 2. LTH doesn't have ult, but they're still firing in with the damage. KJ trying to help out from outside of it. There's going to be the Rupture thrown down onto Yuma. So his chase is done. But KXY joining the fight. Shadow Strike in. HFN doesn't get to move. Only got a level 1 Blood Right, so he can't fight his way out. And if you're SG, that goes pretty damn well.
Yeah, and he is 4-4-0. 4 points in Blink, 4 points in Dagger. I hate KXY. This is like, and he's got a Midas. So
this build is coming to your pubs, folks. You know it's going to happen. Be ready for it.
And they didn't get everything they wanted out of bottom. They would have loved, I think, to maybe keep on and get a few more support kills, but that's where Oscar was just, I think, a little bit too tapped for mana, and he doesn't have too many stat items. He really only has 1 batch of spells before he's kind of completely out. You know, the bottom, Prada just trying to get XP. He's going to get walked down by full 5-man of Wolf team. All 5 heroes are in the bottom lane right now. I guess they just really want this tower, but this is quite the concession, and you look elsewhere, well, the tower trade is coming as well, but you've already got mid tower, top tower's got a card on it. Marcy's coming, but I guess that'll be enough to defend in the immediate, but I feel like SG just bring more heroes, and then this is not the situation that you might want here, as the Queen of Pain is, coming.
This is going to get awkward. Dilation's thrown out there. Here comes KXY. Blinks his way forward.
Ooh, watch the Doom, though.
Mortimer Kisses are coming in. Sonic Wave is kind of off the mark. Does a little bit of damage, but nothing too crazy, and now they're going to try to turn. There's the lasso onto the Snapfire. Can Prada save his teammate? He can get him out of the lasso for sure, but LTH still trying to sidestep this one. In the meantime, King RD does die to the KXY DOT. And, well, if your Wolf team, the tower's defended, you didn't use Doom, Marcy dies, but King RD is kind of expendable at that point, so not the worst trade in the world, although if Oscar hits anyone here, which he will not, but if he had, that could have gotten a little iffy.
Yeah, and I think a large part as to why they go for that is they have carved out a lot of time for HFN to now farm in the bottom lane. So even though they commit, 3 or 4 TPs, which doesn't feel nice, they give that Bloodseeker a little bit more space to play around with. Even though at the end of the day, KXY just stays top and is probably just going to get that tier 1 now for free, which is a little bit sad, but I think that is... Oh yeah, you're right. Well, there's 75 HP on the towers. Someone's going to kill it. LTH has got this.
Doesn't have Sonic Wave, though, so this is an interesting rotation. He does have a DD rune, I suppose. could certainly make up for it, but there's no one actually here for them to hit, so... Okay. LTH cleans it up. Everything's fine. No worries there, but yeah, that was a little strange. Didn't really need to rotate immediately. Could have finished the tower quickly and easily and then TP'd, but they still get the objective. And Oscar is stealing some farm here in this east side jungle. If we're not fighting, I might as well farm, he says, and starting to work on that BKB. At the same time, though, Yuma just got hit up by the Rupture. That means he's got to turn around for the Chronos here, but LTH, 10 seconds on the kisses. Unfortunate timing, but look at Oscar coming in. Pulverize connecting onto the Bloodseeker. They've got the Cookie Stun on top of it. That is a nasty play. HFN's dead, and FCR, he's not getting out either.
Yeah, they just overstay. They just go for a play that I think is just a little bit too difficult. And, of course, the Chrono's not the flashiest in the world, but that was a pretty sick onslaught. And I think really not making any play happen with your supports or your Marcy feels a little bit like a mistake. And maybe because there are so many Midases picked up, we just see this game slow down until Tavo gets his Blink Dagger. But in doing so, well, your Marcy and your Rubik are going to fall off a bit when this is their power spike. This is the strongest they're going to be for quite a bit in this game. And of course, Rubik gets to just steal spells. You'll be able to steal your opponent's probably Queen of Pain daggers and Snapfire Scatterblast. But I don't know. Feels like you're missing maybe an opportunity to make the lineup work out a little bit better. And in doing so, well, now it's farm time. You used Chrono. Yuma's just going to hit creep. He's not going to bat an eye at anything. So what does Wolf Team do? A smoke, I suppose, but they have to really catch Yuma off guard here. And it's daytime, so just walking at him is going to be a little bit difficult. They need the lift first.
Their rebound is not on target. Yuma's able to jump away. He's moving immediately towards Oscar and FCR. I mean, he has Lasso, but he doesn't have Firefly, so they're going to be missing some damage here as Yuma just going to go for the TP away. He did get hit by the Rupture, but he's able to make it out. Now can Oscar do the same? TP not going to finish. I think they lassoed him. Yeah, there we go. They lassoed him while KJ stole Pulverize, so they find a kill. The only problem is KXY made a jump into the top lane onto Tavo, so they're just going to trade out offlaners at the end of the day.
Yep, and of course, can't really walk away from the Queen of Pain still. No Dispel. That's just going to be KXY's kind of free play every single time he has the opportunity. Also, very cheap, though. They still have Kisses. They still have Sonic Wave. They just TP Oscar in mid and then probably go for a smoke into the triangle, even back down towards bottom where HFN is playing right now, and then the game becomes more of a question mark. But nope, King RD just gets bullied here. Doom is on his way, though, and Doom could Doom KXY, but... Oh, Tavo!
Well, if you're not going to Doom, you need to back off, because otherwise that's going to happen. That was so strange. Maybe he didn't have the cast range, but instead it ends up being 2 going down there. The good news, if your Wolf Team, is that they were able to find a pick onto the Omni, and I was sort of laughing at KJ using Pulverize because it just looks hilarious, but not as funny if you end up losing 2 in the middle lane. KJ's at least able to keep a haste rune out of KXY's hands. That's some good news, but... well, they're starting to run out of answers for this Queen of Pain already. He's 5-1-3. This Midas has not actually slowed down progress that much. In fact, it's working exactly the way that they wanted. He's top in the net worth, and... well, I don't think anyone's catching up to him all that quickly. HFN is actually looking for a Midas of his own as middle lane. LTH. Okay. He will be punished. They would like a second kill onto Prada. Can they hit him up with anything? They don't have Lasso, and now with KXY here, it's time to go. King RD's not going, though, and Oscar's going to catch him. Onslaught knocks him back. That's a long, long rebound. And that should allow the Marcy to get away, but... well, overall, that works out just fine, but sort of going back to the previous point, even if HFN finishes off this Midas ET, it's going to take him a while to catch up to the quad.
Yeah, and the funny thing about KXY's build is, and a reason why he doesn't have this talent right now, is that the Midas does just give you enough XP to, I guess, get away with it, which is a funny thing to say. I mean, hell, the man doesn't even have boots. He's just literally blinking around off cooldown, just making it work. And, oh, blinks into a Batrider, but with the Onslaught coming on through, needs to be maybe a little bit careful here, but I don't know if you're getting a spell off. There's your Doom finally, but Prada's coming in. He's going to try to help you. And it's going to kind of work, but there you go.
Stolen Pulverize. That was GA popped, though. Guardian Angel's in, so Oscar's still not dead. Meanwhile, in the river, they are attempting to get KXY here with the Rupture. It is going to work, but now Yuma drops down the Chronosphere. HFN's going to get traded out. They're going to lose King RD as well. That's going to even up the count at 2-2 in terms of kills. KJ, okay. Yeah. If Yuma had forgotten to cast Dilation after Chronosphere, then he would have deserved to have it stolen away, but not the case. Your Wolf team,
No.
That's big, right? I mean, losing the Bloodseeker sucks, but you got KXY.
Yep, get the first Quap kill. Yeah, it is hard to lose the Bloodseeker, and honestly, looking over at HFN's build, again, something we haven't really seen. He had a Midas queued up for a while. He is not going for the typical just BKB after Maelstrom. This Yasha feels a little bit weird as well, but we'll have to see. He's going to need even more net worth, but not too many things are just typical in this game. Everybody's gone for kind of weird roundabout ways into their items. I think the most normal ones right now are definitely just the Faceless Form, the Bat Rider. They've got the typical items that you'd expect, but everyone else is kind of just doing their own thing. Not necessarily in a bad way, but just in a way that I think is catching themselves off guard. I mean, hell, look at HFN's inventory. You wouldn't expect this to be a Bloodseeker if you looked at, tens of games that have been played already in this patch, but that's where they did go for a smoke top. It didn't work out. Again, nighttime. They need the lift. They don't have the cast range on KJ, so it's very hard for them to start. But also trying to make something happen with the blink reveal, but even Tavo couldn't connect. Didn't have Doom, though, so kind of a hard play to make.
But yeah, that's the thing now. This is, I think, the third time we've seen that play out where King RD doesn't quite have the range on the rebound, and at a certain point, maybe you stop trying. Maybe you just need KJ to have this talent and this Aether Remnant. Well, not sure if it's really going to be enough to matter at this point, but they can't make that play happen right now as Tavo goes in. There's going to be the stomp. They want the Doom as well. What happened there? Cookie and Blink kind of went off at the same time. KXY turns around for the Sonic Wave, but he still gets the lasso off. The KXY will blink away again, but the Telekinesis pulls him back into the fight. He just can't get out, ET. And now LTH has to sacrifice himself, but it's not really a sacrifice for anything. He was just caught. As SG,
Yeah.
very awkward.
And tried to make the plan to KJ work, and hey, you got the Eye of the Viziers. You've got a little bit more cast range to work with. Newly buffed Eye of the Vizier as well, and it already didn't really matter too much on int heroes, but now it's even better. And Yuma walking into the Sentry, but oh, what a chrono.
Where's the follow-up damage, though? He does need a little bit of backup. Tavo goes down. Oscar now comes in. That's perfectly timed as well. But they just can't lock down another hero. That's still 2, though. Oh, Rupture. Onto Oscar. They're going to try and just walk him out of the Blood Rite. He's going to stay alive for now as Yuma's cookied forward. Time walks in. Can't actually hit anybody, though, so they are going to be forced to back it off. And Yuma thought for a moment there he was getting into trouble, but hey, that Chrono really is just the trump card.
Yeah, if he gets Doom there, if he doesn't feel like the jig is up, then that is just a complete one fight for Wolf Team where they probably get that mid-tier 1 after, but instead, everything gets a little bit too crazy. But that's also a problem that I'm noticing here with HFN's build. He's gone for Boots of Travel. He's gone for a full Manta style as well. When does this Bloodseeker start to do damage? Because when you see that Primal Beast get ruptured mid, you see him on the opposite side of the high ground. He just walks off the rupture. He gets healed. When do we need the damage from our Bloodseeker here? As a Doom, though, comes out top, but KXY is probably dead again here. KXY has really gotten a little bit sloppy with his play. That is the 4th death. Doesn't feel the greatest, but that's where I still do have a little bit of a problem here with HFN's build. I just don't know when your timing is now with how many small items you've decided to pick up for yourself. As they still look for Prada, and, well, that'll end that. And Heavenly Grace stolen as well. Pretty nice steal for the Rubik.
Hey, maxed out Heavenly Grace too, so a nice play there. And yeah, well, HFN may not be a big damage dealer at the moment, but his teammates were at least able to find those picks. But it's still a very strange series of events for them, as you say. Just kind of changes their timing in a way I'm not sure they were ready for. But hey, they find the pickoffs, they get into the Roche pit, they are taking this fairly quickly. Don't think anyone's coming. Oh, Oscar. He's in, but he's ruptured immediately. Forced to pop the BKB. Pulverize, though, does connect. The kisses are going to come through as well, so HFN is dropping low. Who takes the Aegis? HFN gets it. Immediately loses it. But at least he was able to pick that up as LTH. He's just going to wander his way in, creating a distraction for KXY, though, on the other side as the Sonic Wave is deployed. But realistically speaking, they only got King RD. They need more than that, but here comes Yuma into the fight. No Chrono for 10, but he is still dishing out the damage. As Tavo is going to get taken down. And they're on the hunt. They want HFN. He already used the Aegis. Can they get a first hit bash? Yes, they can. Oh, there's some RNG at work. And Wolf Team, at the end of the day, they get the Aegis instead of their opponents. But Oscar, just a bull in a china shop there. He just rushes in and says, listen, I don't really care whether or not I die. I'm just trying to disrupt this as best as I can. And it works out pretty well for SG.
Yeah, and the difference between Oscar getting that Aegis and HFN is if HFN does not get that Aegis, that fight is just an absolute wash. You lose everything on Wolf Team, and you don't get the 2 kills that you were able to manage. But you still lose quite a lot there. And Yuma is very happy, still deathless in his game. He really hasn't been the target of anything that Wolf Team has tried to make happen. And again, unless he gets doomed, and they're actually looking for FCR here.
Bash?
No way.
Oh, well, okay. That's cheating. No need for a bash when you've got a Chrono, as they will find the kill.
Oh, he's level 19 now on the Void. He is just huge. No, he is just leapfrogged ahead of everybody. And, of course, you know, solo pick for a Chrono. Don't always want to go for those, but for the time being, it'll be fine. You just pass the baton over to Oscar, who now needs the carry. I think the next big team fight that might break out before that Chrono comes up. And looking at a mid, does need to be careful. Rupture might fly through, but as they rejoin, the full 5-man is just a little bit too scary, I think, for Wolf Team to deal with right now. Again, their damage numbers just not that high. It's just, again, an awkward timing where you would want this triple BKB to move in from your cores, and then suddenly you make the plays happen. But even Tavo has moved past the idea of getting a BKB in this game. He's got a Halberd, which, sure, will be very important, especially for popping the Lincoln Sphere of Yuma. But aside from that, just feels like we're not seeing that item spike that we're used to seeing from lineups, especially in this tournament. Just means that you have a lot of downtime to play around with while SG are just farming with pretty much just as many Midases as KXY.
Uh-oh.
Well,
do they doom him? Not yet. That means he is able to jump away, but they're going to pull him back. Look at the Sonic Wave, though. They just don't lock him down in time. Even if they kill him now, the cost is just too high. Tavo's dead. They've lost King RD as well. KJ's going to get run down, and I don't know, ET. There's a little bit too much of an attempt at quote-unquote efficiency there. If they just drop the Doom right at the outset, I think that's so much cleaner, and they might actually be able to disengage before the rest of that team fight went down.
no, and it was very tight. I think he saw the Omni walking up, so trying to go for the stun and then turning around and going for the Doom is kind of a greedy play. And ooh, HFN is also being very greedy. Manta, he's got
Oscar's
something to play
in.
with, but
Pulverize is there. Cookie, or not Cookie, excuse me, Kiss is on top, and boy, oh boy, would a BKB be helpful for Bloodseeker right now.
it just feels like they're playing a bit. And well, flooding TP's mid. They just saw the Faceless Void top, so this is kind of a feed, and we'll see if they can walk this one out. The problem, though, again, is the damage. You just don't really have that much to output here. Of course, you don't even have Doom, so it just feels like a feeble attempt to get SG off of your tower. But Chrono Man is here, and he's coming, and he's looking for 3.
Pulverize does get stolen, but Yuma wants a Chrono, and he's going to throw it down. It does catch onto 2. Tavo is technically outside of it, but his teammates are going to get taken down immediately. Now he falls under the tower. Yuma picks up all 3 kills, and they're right onto the tier 2 tower. Wolf Team, at this point, just feels like they can't get out of their own way. They just keep on getting caught out in these rough situations.
Yeah, and okay, sure, Bacter's there for maybe a second, but yeah, I don't know. This game is just going to continue to, I think, worsen, and you do have Stolen Pulverize with Eye of Vizier plus Aether Lens, and you'll see, yeah. But you did just bring the Void close to you, so.
Congratulations, KJ. You have successfully pulverized yourself to death. It looked fun, you know. We got to give him points for that, but it doesn't really help on the defense. Although, with the glyph back up, they don't lose their tower. That's better than nothing right now, but you take a look at where we're standing in terms of net worth, experience, and even that win probability, ET is sitting at a solid 98%. So if there's a way out for Wolf Team, even Dota Plus is having a hard time finding it.
Well, step one here is going to be kill Yuma, but you're going to have to dump everything on him and hope LTH doesn't just force him out. And oh, there's the first miss. There's the second miss. Oh, no.
This is where it gets awkward. LTH jumps into the middle. He is going to drop low, but that sets up for the Sonic, and they're just done.
Yeah,
GG.
and that's GG. Oh, Yuma gets his own Lincolns popped, pops the Rupture, KXY connects, puts the Lincolns on Yuma, pops the lasso, and yeah, you're out of here. Man, Wolf Team just did not get anything together, and I think, again, maybe a slight bit of frustration. I mean, I don't know if that is FCR or it is just Sooth's on a different account, but man gets thrown into a captain's mode game, you know, pick it up from the pubs and says, oh, you got a lane versus KXY, Queen of Pain. Sorry, bro. Like, just a little bit too much. And Yuma, again, continues the win rate on both his Faceless Void and Morphling, is still, I think, unbeatable in the tournament so far.
Just putting up all sorts of numbers there. You see the 0 deaths for him in this one. So he's been pretty damn impressive. And I mean, the fact that they were able to go all the way to the very end, right? I mean, that was last pick for Yuma in that situation. And Faceless Void still sitting there just kind of goes to show the new patch was changing people's thinking, because you forgot until last pick, and by the time Wolf Team realized what they've gotten themselves into, it's far too late.
Yeah, mildly unfortunate, and, you know, of course, very nice 2-0 for SG to, again, put themselves a little bit higher into those top 4 positions, but yeah, kind of a gut-wrenching loss for Wolf Team, and again, this is something that I don't want to say we expected, but we know that Wolf Team are struggling. Again, still not having ADR, still having the stand-in situation that seems to be kind of pulling them apart in games. Just not fun. I think they themselves are also getting kind of frustrated in some of these games, but we'll see hopefully a better tomorrow for Wolf Team. But SG continue, and especially Yuma continues to just ball out of control every single game. I think he really is showing as to why he is just one of the most consistent carries. And I know in the region, it's hard to say because he's not in the region, but he's just making the plays work, and it just feels so consistent from him.
And with that, too, I believe SG do now hit that 8-win mark, which does have them tied with Ravens for first place. Of course, Ravens haven't played in like 4 straight days now, I think, something like that. But just goes to show this SG lineup is feeling themselves. They've got some momentum, and it's been working out quite nicely for them to this point. So congratulations to them. Commiserations to Wolf Team having to play through the DC issues really across both games now. But as you say, they're hoping for a better tomorrow at this point, a more stable one more than anything else. But with that being said, it is time to move into our next series. It is going to be a shift over to the NA side of things, as we do have Felt versus 5-Rat Force Staff as our next matchup. So we'll be hopping on out of here, take a little break, play some ads for you. When we come back, we'll have that Game 1 draft. So stick around, and we'll be right back.